only question to the governor is, Governor, why does your team have to leave everything very late? Because there's a period of time within which you are supposed to respond. If you wait until the very last minute, like a Friday at 5 p.m., you know, this is what we used to do in campus, submitting assignments at the very last possible time. It's a Kenyan problem, but
Chair, the documents were ready. I will not have my team take any blame, because it was my signature that was being awaited for, and I was away. That notwithstanding,
Order, Governor, just let the senators express themselves.
Chair, because now the technology is electronic signature.
I was not done.
Let's allow the senators first to make their submissions.
Yeah, so, Governor, you see the risk that you run when you leave things late. We run into problems such as this because we are very eager to move at the pace of other counties. We are the only county that now is still dealing with 2022 issues. And yet in this committee, your colleagues in the Council of Governors, we are now looking at their 2023 documentation. So my only advice would be, don't leave things too late, because you will run into these problems that we are in now.
Thank you. Senator Methu?
Mine actually would be looking at the way forward, Honorable Chairman, because however much we argue on which date the documents came in, the Auditor General has the cover that I didn't receive the documents 7 days or in 7 days, so I've not been able to look at these documents. If we were to then progress and look at these two reports, I don't know how then the Auditor General will be able to help this committee, because he or she has not looked at these documents. So in every query that the Auditor General has raised, they have not seen the response, the management response from the county government. They have not seen the documents that have been adduced as evidence. So unless we will be verifying the documents ourselves without the help of the Auditor General, the Auditor General will not be able to help. And even if we attempt to do this, to look at this particular report of 2022 and 2023, we shall be stuck at some point and know it, Honorable Chairman, because the way we do it, we ask the Auditor General, have you been satisfied with the documents that have been provided? Because one, the documents are too bulky for the committee to look at one by one. So we only look at the matters that are outstanding. So in this case, then every matter will be seen to be outstanding, because the Auditor General cannot confirm the accuracy and validity of the documents that have been adduced as evidence. So I don't know, Chair, whether there is a way we would be able to look at this financial year or the response from the governor with the knowledge that the Auditor General has already acceded that he has not been able to ascertain and look at the documents. I don't think we can be able to proceed.
Thank you. Senator Bulo?
Chair, for the purpose of way forward, I think we have had this discussion earlier, and the auditors have raised the challenges they have faced as far as this document is concerned. And again, the governor has agreed also the delay on the report. So my way forward is, as we have agreed, maybe we should allow the auditors more time to audit the submissions done, and then we can actually look at the system as we have agreed earlier. Thank you.
Thank you. Governor, maybe, let's hear from you, Governor, before we take up.
Chair, I want to understand the presumption that if the Auditor General got the document 1 day earlier, would they have been ready? Because it's 1 day. It cannot be that everything has not been done and 1 day would be magic. And if that is the case, we'd be very willing and comfortable then to come after 1 day. Because that is the only difference of time. You know, it's not like it's a week or 2 weeks, just 1 day. Between Friday 5 p.m. and Monday is 1 day.
Governor, let's not take that direction.
So I'm just asking, I want to understand whether even within the time that they've looked at it, there are some material things. You know, we need to be pragmatic. If there's something that
Governor, what I want to hear from you is your proposal on the way forward.
Okay, my proposal is this, Chairman, and I'm very happy that you're very experienced members on your left and right, including my good senator. We've provided 2022 and 2023 the responses, and there are also additional questions that were raised that are of here and now. issues that can sort out our city. We have additionally asks from the Senate, because even today, even right now as you're speaking, revenue is being collected, and we have targets, and we know how we can surpass it. On top of having hit, record highs this past financial year, I would suggest, Chair, humbly, that we can go over those issues that were not possibly, explicitly raised in the report, but in your supplementary questions. And then the written responses from what we've provided, we can be able to address once they have that extra day to look at it, Chair. That's, if we're to be pragmatic, that would be my proposal, Chair. Kindly.
Okay, thank you. Auditor General, you are on the ground right now.
Yes, Chair.
So you are carrying out the audit on the receiver of revenue statement for 2023-2024.
Yes, Chair.
How far have you gone with that exercise?
We are almost concluding, so we exit on Tuesday.
You are doing the exit meeting on Tuesday.
Yes, please.
How are you addressing the prior year matters in this audit that is ongoing?
We have incorporated them in the current year. So we have the systems, the ones that require system verification. We have a system auditor who is still on the ground, supposed to verify the status.
Is it possible that the issues that were raised in these 2 prior years can also be consolidated in the audit and the reports that you are preparing right now?
Yes, Chair, possible.
Is that neat and procedural?
Yes, please.
So, since the Auditor General is in Nairobi City County right now, going through the report of the receiver of revenue, exiting on Tuesday, and you are required to present that report to Parliament by 31st of December, I think to avoid a protracted argument here on timelines and readiness, we would then direct that these responses that have been brought before us form part of the ongoing audit, so that the report that will be generated by the Auditor General for the financial year 2023-2024 will be sufficiently detailed to capture the issues that had been raised in prior years. I think that that allows us to be current. It allows us to deal with contemporary issues, but without losing track of issues of the past. Mark?
Yes, Chair. That's the position, because if you look at those 2 reports, they had adverse and disclaimer opinions, which means most of these issues had not been addressed and therefore will be factored in the current year audit going on. Thank you, Chair.
Senator Onyuka?
Chair, my only suggestion is that you don't forget to include in the analysis the issue of transition.
Yes, there were supplementary questions,
yes,
which I think the supplementary questions we must deal with.
Okay.
Because they also capture issues of transition.
Much obliged.
Okay.
Chair, I think also to mark that you capture in your prior year the specifics, especially on this issue of revenue, so that it is not captured in one line the way you do in your reports, but be specific on this as you exit on Tuesday, capture on prior year matters, specifically on this issue of revenue, since you are saying you are yet to have a view of auditing the revenue system of Nairobi City County. Thank you, Chair.
And indeed, we had previously directed or requested the Office of the Auditor General to do a system audit on revenue in Nairobi. And I know that because of resource limitations, the proposal was that could be done in the year-end audit. So we are expecting a very detailed report from the Office of the Auditor General in terms of revenue. It will not just be a report with the usual bookkeeping issues. I think it needs to be a very detailed analysis of revenue systems. In fact, if there can be a separate systems report, because a systems audit is different from a financial statement audit, we are expecting that the Office of the Auditor General is going to bring to Parliament by 31st of December a financial statement audit report and a systems audit report. The request on systems audit was made almost 1 year ago. And I know that the Auditor General indicated that there were some constraints in terms of resources. This time, we expect to get that report.
Chair, maybe a way out, so that because we don't have a view of the system audit. One is the inquiry into the matter, possibly through special audit or forensic audit, because looking at the years, because the years of disclaimer and adverse and understatement of 107 billion, it would be better to do it through an inquiry. And maybe through our clerk, I don't know whether members of county assembly, through the chair of Nairobi City County Assembly, were invited. I'm reliably informed that they did an inquiry into this matter, but that report has never gotten to the county assembly. I know exactly
those issues, if resolved, to show up in the 23-24 report. And so I would, because it would reduce the chances of a good audit opinion, which I'm very confident, just based on what, and if you ask them, they'll tell you. In fact, in this opening of the audit, the deputy director will tell you, of all the counties, I am the one governor who sat through the entire meeting with every CEC and chief officer. We were at Nairobi Safari Club, went through the entire process, and have been taking step by step. And so I would not want the current report, the issues can be dealt with, but they should not contribute to the opinion of this current, which they're actually finishing. Because I believe those issues have been resolved. That is the clarification I require.
Point of order. With great respect, Governor, I don't think you can set your own marking scheme.
And then it's not a marking scheme. I'm saying
just allow the.
If you do KCS,
just allow
from 2 results and from 3 results.
Just allow the Auditor General to undertake the process in accordance with the law and the Constitution.
Exactly. That is what I want.
And do not exert undue pressure for a certain result.
Yes.
Just to clarify, I would never do that.
Yeah, we must protect the Auditor
The
General.
KCSE results should not be the average of Form 2 and 3.
Through you, Chairman, Governor, Excellency Governor,
That's the new CDC.
you are already telling yourself how your audit is excellent, and the deputy director, gosh.
No, Senator.
Boss, you know, these are the things you talk about, and we are like, hey,
Senator Onyonka,
what does my Excellency Governor think who we are?
you're taking words out of my mouth. What I have said, and I am repeating a concern raised by the Auditor General himself.
The auditor hasn't pronounced themselves.
The auditor
Let them pronounce themselves.
No, they have said the first two that went to consolidate were disclaimer, and the second one was adverse.
Yes.
I'm sure the record will bear me out. That is what Mark said, isn't it? Maybe
We still don't know the opinion.
Onyonka.
We still don't know the opinion of the Auditor General in the current year. So
Yes, but his concern he has raised.
let us not anticipate. Let us not anticipate
conclusion
debate.
of this-
Let's allow the Auditor General
do their job.
to do their job, because you see, if you don't fix the issues of 2 years ago, then there's no way you'll be okay today. If you don't fix the numbers,
I think you don't
of
understand
2 years ago.
I don't think you've gotten what I was
No,
saying.
I've heard you. I understand you.
And what Mark said also.
That you would wish to link the two. Unfortunately, there is prior year issues which accounts for the opinion of the auditor in the current year. So what you need to do, if what you have brought to the Senate was in answer to the issues that were raised by the Auditor General, then just sit with the Auditor General, satisfy the Auditor General that those gaps have been closed, and if those gaps have not been closed, then just allow the Auditor General to report to the Senate on their findings.
Chair, I don't want to determine the outcome. Maybe if you allow him to expound on the point he said, because I feel that has not been taken into account. He raised a very significant point, Chair. Not even if you don't take what I've said, just hear what the Auditor General himself has pronounced on.
Mark, why is the governor coaching you on what to say?
Why is he defending you?
He already said it. It's not me.
Mark?
Chair, if I may, the point I was raising was that in the previous years, we had a disclaimer of opinion, which means a disclaimer basically means the auditor could not form an opinion because there was no sufficient evidence to support an opinion. And then we had an adverse, which means there were matters of material, issues that were material to the extent that the client and the auditor could not agree, therefore an adverse opinion was issued. So, Chair, what we are saying is that these issues, of course, must be examined the year under review. And if the auditor finds that these matters have been addressed, then, of course, that will be the report, that the matters have now been addressed. And if they are not, then they will still be in the audit report that will be coming. So, Chair,
Then I think we are all speaking the same language.
Language, different accents.
Yeah, we're all speaking the same language, so I think we are in agreement. So, but there are the supplementary questions which I believe we need to go through to understand the systems environment at Nairobi City County. So I think even for purposes of the media, we are saying that we now want to deal with a comprehensive, current and up-to-date report on revenue systems and revenue collection in Nairobi City County. And because the audit is currently ongoing, the Auditor General is on the ground. The Auditor General will be exiting on Tuesday. We are directing that the Auditor General considers and consolidates the issues before us in that report so that by 31st of December, the Senate will be dealing with current contemporary issues and current successes in Nairobi City County. I think that would be fairer to the people of Nairobi rather than spending a lot of time to discuss 2021, 2022, and yet, even as we speak, Nairobians are paying for parking, Nairobians are paying for business permits. I think they'll be much more interested in how that money is being accounted for now and how it is being reported. So we could then, unless there's a preliminary observation, Kerich, your mic is on, you want to say something?
No, sorry, Chair.
Yeah, because we have sometimes when CECs want the mic, we give them. In the case of Machakos, the county attorney took the mic and said very bad things about the governor. So if you want the mic, I'll give you. Does anyone want the mic?
I doubt.
Senator Sifuna.
Honorable Chair and Honorable Governor, there is a small message that I have for you this morning from the people of Kamkunji. I was in Kitui village, Honorable Chair, in the morning. We had a fire incident there on Wednesday, and we lost about 7 people. And over 100 people were affected as well. And Governor, when I was there are a few things that I was requested to bring to your attention. First of all is the state of Muratina Road from the junction of General Warwinge at the Pumwani Maternity Hospital all the way down to Lamu Road. What are you hearing from the people at Kura about the state of that road? Because it is in terrible shape, and I've seen it myself. Just a few weeks ago, I think a few days ago, one of the local media stations actually ran an expose or a story on the state of roads in Nairobi. And whereas we might understand the situation in Kilimani and parts of Hurlingham because of the heavy construction equipment that is always on those roads, maybe you could update the people of Nairobi on the state of that road called Muratina Road. Secondly, Governor, I'm sure your team was there because I was told the firefighting team on this specific occasion did not do very badly. The words that were used by the people of Kamkunji was that they didn't do too badly. So please don't substitute the words with your own. But Governor, when I was there today, this morning, raw sewage is flowing into people's homes. I don't know if it has been brought to the attention of your teams and what they are doing about it. Lastly, Governor, we had a conversation with you here after the heavy rains. I think that was the last time you appeared here. You remember the case of the bridges that were swept away. And I think, if I'm not wrong, and you can jog my memory, you had told us that you're going to prioritize reconstruction of those bridges. The people there told me that that has not been done. So maybe you can address those issues just for the comfort of the people of Nairobi, and then we can delve into the main issues today. I thank you, Honorable Chair.
Okay, since that's a topical matter, perhaps I can allow a maximum of 5 minutes for the Governor to respond or for any supplementary questions. Governor?
Chair, while that may not be the subject matter today on this audit, I think it's a good opportunity to respond. Indeed, we've had many cases of fires due to many reasons that we're dealing with, including illegal power connections. In this particular instance, it was 6 people who lost their lives. There were 2 families. There was Kenneth Orambo, a 45-year-old, and his children. There was Yusuf. There was Joanne and Jessica Orambo, who was 2.5 years. We're in contact with the family, Sarah and Jamal. after that incident. The other family was 2 people. There's a mother and a child. The mother is called Sylvia Akumu, and the child is Nelson, 2.5 years. Our team swung into action quite swiftly to solve, of course, issues of access, were a problem because of, the kind of informal settlement that we have there. And our deep condolences to those who lost loved ones. 6 people are 1 person too many to lose. We've given support. Those affected are currently at a hall nearby. We've been able to give food and material support. That is blankets, mattresses, and food stuff. And we're talking to the structure owners. These are tenants, but trying to see how to help them to reconstruct. And even with more training of, fast response. Because in as much as the nearest station would take them 8 or so minutes and they were there in less than 15, the first responders normally are the young people around there. And we have a program of training young people across the city to be able to respond quickly. It is true there's this issue of state of roads, and which is why, we really implore upon the Senate. Even in as much as there's white smoke on the division of revenue, which we are not happy with as governors, there's the pending issue of RMLF. A lot of these roads, whose state has been raised, including Muratina, and Jogoro was on the news, and you see vehicles jumping off those potholes. People are not able to distinguish whose responsibility it is, because those are national roads under Kura. You find that when RMLF, which is a tax levied on everyone who uses fuel, the money is disbursed only to the national government, then counties are not able to maintain roads. Now, when you give this to members of parliament, for instance, which they do through KERA, we have Kenya rural roads doing roads in Nairobi, and this is an urban city. The prioritization of those roads is political. And so there is no MP who will put money on Jogo Road, because there are no votes there. They'll go put money, the MP for Westlands, for instance, will do Kangemi, he will not do Westlands Shopping Center. The MP for the Great North will not touch Yaya Center or Agwins Kotek, they'll go to Kawangware. And that is why, as governors, we are saying that a tax raised nationally by every taxpayer using county or national roads should therefore also be distributed by the ratio of county roads versus national roads. And the county roads are actually more than national roads. Some of the roads we've been able to do, including in Isili, Waudo Street and a number of the avenues, was because we were able to get stuck RMLF from 2019 when we got into office, around 900 million or so that had been stuck during the previous regime because they diverted funds. I was able to get them and do many of the roads. If you go now to every ward in Nairobi, there are road projects going on through what we call our ward-based projects. We focus projects in every ward. The highest allocation previously, Senator, was 200 million in 2017-18. When I got into office the first year, we did 735 million worth of those roads. And this last year, we've done 950 million worth of those roads. So those are roads which are internal. Fortunately for us, Section 6 of the Urban Areas and Cities Act talks about infrastructure in the capital city and the need for a special arrangement between the national and county government. And we've been able to sit down with the national government and said, look, we need to prioritize certain roads, some which are under your purview, and extra support for those under our purview due to lack of the RMLF. And we've agreed on an initial 4 to 5 billion shillings that begins this December and in January. So that we can sort out those. There's the Chanias and the ones up market, but also down there. Remember there was around 2.1 billion worth of NMS projects that were stalled. And those went to the executive office of the president. I'm happy that we've gotten a commitment, but we want to push it because no county should beg for what is rightfully theirs. The number of road users we have in the city who are paying RMLF, if you're to georeference it, possibly 30 to 40% of the entire road maintenance levy fund is on Nairobi road users, yet the county is not getting that money. So Senator Sifuna, I'll look at the specific one, but I know that is part of the roads on our list that we're pushing to be done. As recently as actually this Monday, I sat with the CS Davis Chichir, Kura Director General, Kenha as well. We've seen the mess here on Uhuru Highway and under the expressway. They did the road up there. Below it looks like a war zone, A contract was awarded. The people of Kangemi want the bridge to cross over to the other side of, Loresho and Kibagare. There's a 3 billion pending bill there. So if you look at what and I would be very happy to furnish the Senate with the details, coming to around 11.2 or so billion shillings to just sort out the capital must look like the capital. We lost many trees during construction of the expressway. We used to have beautiful boulevards of Jacaranda. We want to restore those and also walkways, non-motorized transport using high-performance concrete. So I'll be very happy to come to this committee or to the roads committee to express that the Senate must fight for counties. Counties don't want, that money is ring-fenced for infrastructure. If you allocate it politically through members of parliament, you will never sort out linkages between constituencies, which is the matter that we're dealing with. So finally, we're checking, we have the contact persons in Majengo. I spoke to the member of parliament, Honorable Yusuf, the area MCA, Honorable Irungu. We are working closely with them, with our disaster team, because also what we do is post-disaster psychosocial support to the affected families. So I think.
Thank you, Governor.
The question of the sewage and the bridges.
Yeah, the bridges we constructed, the ones which had been targeted during that last flooding, were 17 bridges. Mainly, the worst affected place was along Madare River. Huruma Hospital Ward, coming up to Mabatini, Ngumba Bridge. We did a bridge in Udhiru Rudhimitu. We did bridges in Kibra constituency. And so I can furnish the committee that list. At that point, there was no bridge targeted at Kitui village. But closer by there, there's a Kiambu bridge, the two bridges. One crosses over to KCC. Another one crosses over to the other side of Mukuru. We raised the level of those bridges. They're higher because of the rising water level. Now what we're doing as well is, because the riparian was secured after that, unfortunately there was a silver lining, that 30 meters on both sides got secured. We are really pushing, of course, for the settlement and compensation and prioritization of those affected, especially in Madare and Ruaraka constituency, but of course Mukuru as well. In the affordable housing. But the Greenway project that we're doing now with the Rivers Commission includes us as Nairobi County doing 54 kilometers of trunk sewers along the river, starting in Nairobi River, which is 27 kilometers. The kind of sewer, because a lot of what goes in is from connections of people who have nowhere else to connect their sewer. 1.8 by 2 meter diameter will last us another 40 years for the city. And so we're happy that we have that opportunity now to sort out a long problem. Remember, the challenge in the city comes from a colonial history. Nairobi is known as the land of rivers. Most cities, the frontage is the rivers. We have Nairobi River, Ngong and Madare. But what happened?
Point of order, Chair. Governor, because we don't want to take up the entire meeting with our issues that are outside the mandate of this committee. Perhaps just address the flowing sewage today. At that particular site, your people have been there at Kitui village. It is flowing into people's houses. I've seen it myself. You just direct your officers to be able to deal with that issue by today.
Yeah, I'll confirm that because I've not gotten that specific report. But what I was generally saying is that there's now been an injection of funds to Nairobi Water and Sewerage Company to sort out many of those problems of all infrastructure. If you look at, as I conclude, Nairobi, CBD, and Ngara, Pangani, Isili, the sewerage infrastructure for solid waste was set up pre-independence. It's very old infrastructure for a smaller population. We now have AFD Bank support. We have French Development Agency and Africa Development Bank, sorting out the lateral connections to that trunk that I'm mentioning. So because there's also, a river passing there, they will be part of that program. I'll be happy again to furnish more details.
Okay, I think that's a matter that can be followed up maybe in a different forum.
Just a comment, Governor, I fear that I agree on you on the issue of road maintenance levy fund.
What are you fearing?
That is a story for another day. But the point I wanted to make and agree with your senator is on the issue of road maintenance levy fund. I think it is the right of the counties. And I'm reliably informed that you have a matter in court. That 10 billion should be given to counties. My opinion, and I think Kera and Kura should be declared unconstitutional. In fact, the national government should only retain the Kenya Nationals Highway Authority under their own purview. Because when I watched the story that was run by one of the local media stations, I was worried because I know a number of roads are not under the purview of the county government. Number two, to inject, the way you are using the word inject, is that we need, you need to tell us, I think the senator maybe is a member of Roads Committee, the relationship that you are doing with Kenya Urban Support Program under World Bank, that is something I think you are working closely with. You can liaise with your senator. And maybe what are you doing with Kenya Urban Roads Authority and I don't want to say Kera because some of us who are villagers are used to Kera. I don't know. Our relationship you are working with to ensure that the issue of Kura and Kera, you are working closely, because I agree when I saw the story of Jogoo Road, which I used a number of times, I thought that's the purview of national government. So have you in any way engaged, just maybe under 30 seconds, have you in any way through the chair, have you in any way engaged with national government? Because I'm happy nowadays you talk to Raila, you talk to Ruta, so you are on a broad base, so it is easy for your manenos to go through.
Not nowadays, always.
Always?
Check and I respond.
Okay.
Not on the last part.
No, not on the last part.
On the substantive.
But yeah, you have to believe also this city, you need political goodwill to survive. And Sakaja is doing very well. Because I saw the last time he was in Opada farm taking care of some animals. Anyway, that's a cool thing.
Let's leave camels and farms out of this so that the governor can respond on the substantive issue on the roads. Even though I doubt whether there was much in terms of response required, because the senator is just encouraging you and the position of the Senate as far as RMLF is concerned.
Maybe before he goes, because I was a member of that mediation committee. Governor, your colleagues, when they appear here, we have asked them about the relationship between themselves and their members of the National Assembly. Because the people of Nairobi, for instance, the people of Kamkunji, they really don't care which agency does what road. They don't care whether it is a member of the National Assembly, MCA, or governor who's doing the road. They just want the road done. So in the mediation itself, the members of the National Assembly had proposed a reduction of your or the county's shareable revenue to below even what you were to receive last year. Yeah. They had proposed a slash to 380 billion. But for us as a Senate, and this is why, Governor, you need to speak to your colleagues, especially in the COG, we feel like the governors don't appreciate the work that the Senate does. If you hear some of the pronouncements from your colleagues directed at members of this House, it is as if they don't understand the work that we do. We have fought, and on principle, we have agreed with the National Assembly on three things. That number one, counties will never receive less than what they received in the previous or preceding financial year. Number two, that if there is a shortfall in revenue, the person or the entity to bear that is the national government. And thirdly, that Governor, year on year, Senate has always to demonstrate, the national government has always to demonstrate increase in the resources that the county governments receive. So whereas you're telling us that the COG is not happy with the 387, I would be more happy, Governor, if you were saying that we saved you 7 billion Kenya shillings that was going to be removed from the allocation to county governments. Because as you know, you are a Senate. A mediation process does not get you entirely what you wanted. And I was getting a bit concerned because your colleagues were threatening to shut down counties, including some from my own political party, and I didn't understand why they were crying like that, instead of allowing the Senate to conclude that process. So in terms of fighting for counties, yes, I think this Senate has done very well, but we don't see reciprocity in terms of just basic respect from members, not you personally, but from some of the members of the COG. And I know you had ambitions to be chair of COG. I don't know how the campaigns went, but you need to be able to pass a message to your colleagues that some of the pronouncements really demoralize the Senate in our work.
You see, if we debate this matter, we can take the entire day because they are pertinent and there are issues that are of great concern. but we've got a brief before us today that we must do justice to. But just linking the brief before us to this conversation so that we go back to the numbers, is that these reports that we've directed the Auditor General to do a deep analysis on is part of the financing mechanisms for Nairobi City County. For the financial year ended 30th June 2023, you had reported a collection of 10.5 billion Kenya shillings as per the report of the receiver of revenue. Now 10.5 billion means that on average you're collecting 29 million per day. 29 million per day. Every single hour you're collecting 1.2 million. So the 1 hour that we have spent here, Nairobi has collected about 1.2 million and about 20,000 per minute. Of course, there are many Kenyans who believe that these numbers, with automation, with greater efficiencies, that Nairobi should collect much more than the 10.5 billion that is here. You are complaining about the division of revenue, which we all share, that the 387 billion is not sufficient to support even the basic operations of counties when you think about the non-discretionary expenditure that has been loaded to county governments. I think it would not be fair for us to proceed without querying your plans and strategies for financing of Nairobi City County. Because this 10.5 billion plus your share of the 387 billion is not going to transform Nairobi into the modern metropolis that it ought to be. So outside whatever you're collecting from Gikomba, and outside whatever the national government gives county governments thinking that it's a favor, and yet it's a constitutional right, what are the other options for financing of Nairobi City County that you have in place right now? I know you've told us about green bonds, but those are futuristic. What is it that you're doing over and above the 10.5 billion and whatever it is the Senate is going to allocate to Nairobi?
Thank you, Chair. Kindly allow me just 1 minute to, because I'm very passionate about devolution. We've been together in this house, and even previously when I was in the law